for that film. But, I mean, I was approached to do Bobby because of Crash. And my first comment to Emilio was, this has to be an orchestral score. I'm sorry. If it's electronic, I don't think I can do this. And so the thing we did was we spent the next 2 weeks just digging up money. I just said, all right, I'll help you. I'll get on the phone. We'll call Harvey. We'll call whoever we got to call. But let's scare up enough money to get a decent orchestra for this movie, because that's what you need. You don't need, it's not going to help the movie.
How do you guys feel in general about sort of presenting music in an electronic format when you know it's going to be an orchestral score afterward, and the challenges to being able to present something to a director where it's being played with samples or it's being played with alternate instrumentation when you know it's going to be filled out orchestrally? To what degree are directors able to really kind of see through that, or it really depends on the circumstance?
Well, I put a huge percentage of all my income back into that exact problem, and that I own state-of-the-art samplers, state-of-the-art libraries, so that unless you're one of us, hopefully you can't really tell the difference. I mean, you would on a dubbing stage, absolutely tell the difference. But in stereo, in a editing room, most people aren't going to tell the difference, and I put hundreds of thousands of dollars back into that because I don't want that problem. That problem is awful.
And technology is luckily working in our favor.
It works now. You can do it. You can get fearsomely close.
If you can get it to sound good with the demo, it's only going to sound even better with the live orchestra, and that will save you time and headaches on the stage, So,
but the hard
part, spending that time to get the demos to sound good.
Yeah, the hard part is that I also think that limits one's writing, because all of a sudden you're writing into a limited scope of, okay, I have strings that play this, and I have strings that go short, and I have strings that do this, but do I have strings that go ooh, or do some freaky thing, or do I have an orchestral thing that does some amazing thing that I want to have happen? No, so I won't do that, so I'll just write like this.
But I think that becomes then part of what we've been talking about that, getting into the minds of the people you're collaborating with, getting them to be confident in you, getting them to trust what you're doing, so that you can talk to them about, okay, we're going to do this on the stage. I want to try and approach this, but getting that confidence in the relationship and getting them on your side with what you're trying to do is like a fundamental part of it, I think. Because then, like any relationship, once you've got trust in it, you can scale the heights at that point.
Like I recorded a score backwards, and that really was hard to try to explain, but we did some tests on it to see if it worked. It was really hard.
I'll just be the last to chime in, I guess. I don't leave anything to chance. My demos, I've heard Mark's, they're great. James Newton Howard's a friend of mine. Great demos. My demos fool me. I'll go to the scoring stage and Sean Murphy or some great engineer will be there pulling up, the reference mix of the, and I sometimes it's happened a number of times now. It's very scary. It's getting this good, but I'll think to myself, well, I didn't know we recorded that, and then I realize, oh, okay, yeah. I don't know any other way to do it. I demo everything. And I hear what you're saying, David. I started pencil and paper, and in 1997, I remember it because I did one picture sketching, Liar Liar, and I did another picture on the synth to try to wean myself away from pencil and paper, because I knew that was going to go the way kind of a dinosaur, because the changes now are so fast and furious. If I'm on pencil and paper, I can't make the changes fast enough. So I did have to change my thought process, for sure. It's a different way of writing. But now, for me personally, it's as transparent. It's very transparent now. I write everything out, or play it all in now. And so it's fully orchestrated when it comes out of my box. And, but there's nothing like hearing it, again, with the live guys when you're ready to do that. And that's the joy that I love, is going on with the live musicians.
Well, the hard part is the scary part is the better we start sounding, the more the producers are going, the kids don't really notice the difference.
But that comes up, and I'm sure that all of us, I make a point of, in that meeting, saying, but wait till you hear it with the real this or that. And I do think that's a great point, Dave. It's like, as good as the technology is, this is just me talking. I mean, the day that I'm sitting in my little darkened, cloistered room and I'm creating music out of a box and I don't get to work with the live musicians, be they 90 or 1, I'll go sell real estate, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, to hear someone like Mark, not to embarrass you, playing a trumpet solo, or hear, you know, so many of these great musicians that we all work with, it's just, there's such a joy to it, so that's me.
Yeah. I mean, there's a certain trap, obviously, with the technology. I'm sure all of us have had technology that has changed, you know, the way we work. I know as a music supervisor, iTunes was, as simple as it is, a revelation. And when you've got 38,000 songs and you're hitting random play, really interesting ideas start to come out of that. And I assume, likewise for you, when you come across some software that does something really interesting, whether it's some neat little, you know, element of Pro Tools, or whether a plugin that kind of hits you, or maybe it's something that you're doing in Reason, or you're using like Ableton Live to find new ways of sequencing things. Is there a danger as we get more and more enamored with certain toys that we're going to lose some of that human element to it? And in what way do you kind of keep fighting to make sure you keep that human element in there and the technology doesn't completely overwhelm the process of creating score?
I think the danger is if you think you can, I mean, the danger is when you get closer to orchestra, for instance, with demos, is for people, for other people, not for you, to think this is what they can expect from music, no? And that's all because they think it sounds like an orchestra, and it didn't before. Years ago, it was more like a piano with color, and you said, this is the strings, can you see this the same kind of articulation? And now they can think, oh, this is the orchestra, no? And this, the danger is for them don't understanding they have to spend a time and a money to make this alive. But no, I don't think for us. I don't think any musician is so silly to be full with machines until the point is everything is gone.
I think that's a great point though, because especially in TV music, where the budgets are low and a lot of it is done on synth, there's a whole generation of people now who are growing up thinking that that stuff is the real thing, and you know, in the long term, convincing people that this broad palette is part of our job is to keep on expanding and trying to remind people that there's more than just synth.
Can I just?
Yeah.
Because this is a pet peeve of mine, or not a peeve, it's I don't even say it would be a concern, but are any of us concerned that as the technology gets so sophisticated, we will now not be training real composers? I mean composers that know what, you know, let's say, that might know what classical harmony is, and also know what writing, you know, getting a great groove going, getting a good loop going. In other words, it does get a little scary when you can hit one note and you hear a 180-piece orchestra doing some kind of run. And I'm just wondering if the technology gets so far ahead, and maybe it shouldn't be a concern to me. Probably not. It's probably just a tool.
If everybody can just hit that one button, then everybody's just doing the same thing. Whatever you're using, you're still asking somebody to put some idea and some talent into it, you know, or some uniqueness of their own, you know. And if everybody can just hit this one button, it sounds fantastic. We'll all get tired of that pretty quick, you know. It's always going to come down to, you know, somebody's self-expression about what they're feeling. You know?
Right. Well, I think that's a great point. Also speaks to what Alex is saying too, that, you know, do we, let's say in the TV world, because of the constraints, do then people, it's like the dumbing down of the populace, you know, is there now, as you said, because most television, or a lot of it, is done synthetically, and that becomes the norm, and therefore we forget what, you know, and I think that speaks to both of them. I think that's absolutely true. You know, there is this wonderful technology, but it does, thankfully, still need, you know, an artist to manipulate.
Well, I guess I take a slightly different point of view here, and because when I say I got involved in electronic music, I got involved in what was electronic music in 1973. So Morton Sabatnik and Robert Moog the guy